Generational Wealth Gang. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about the importance of contingency funds, or perhaps you have heard it called emergency funds. And I'm actually going to connect it to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is why I have on my pink today. And breast cancer awareness is something that is near and dear to my heart. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, God rest her soul, passed away when I was 2 years old. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and at that point in time, really the only option was to have a mastectomy, which means to cut off the breast in its entirety, and she just could not cope with the concept of not having her breast, and so she opted to do nothing, and unfortunately she passed away as a result of it. And she was, if you've seen one of my previous videos, especially my very first video, that you'll know that she was one of the people in my family who was very much, generational wealth focused. Her perspective was that everyone should leave a financial legacy. And so that has been instilled and passed down to me. It was passed down through my mother, and that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And one of the reasons why my platform is called Journey to Generational Wealth, because I want to help people be able to truly leave a financial legacy for their families, because that's something that we certainly need in our community. So that's my maternal grandmother. My mother also was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 48. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And if you know anything about cancer, you know that stage 4 is considered terminal. And it is the worst. Not that any level of cancer is a good thing, but it's the worst diagnosis that you can get. Her cancer had also ended up metastasizing, which means that it spread over the course of her other organs within her body. So anyhow, at the age of 48, she was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. She was only given 2 years to live. I specifically remember going to one of her doctor's appointments with her, and the doctor kind of, while they were running tests and doing things on her, kind of pulled me off to the side and said, if there are any memories that you want to make with your mother, if there is anything that you want to do with her, you need to do it now. Because I say 2 years, but she may not have a full 2 years. And I was in my early 20s at the time, and that was certainly not something that I wanted to hear about my mother. She literally was and still is, God rest her soul, everything to me. And so that was very heartbreaking and hard to hear. So I want to connect, the way I'm going to connect it to finances and making sure that you have a contingency fund, making sure that you're investing, and that you are contributing to your employer provided retirement fund, making sure that you are participating, that you've enrolled in an IRA, a Roth IRA, some post outside of your employer retirement funds. And the reason that I say this is because, like I said, at the age of 48, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. She ended up having a mastectomy on one side, and she also ended up doing chemo, and she ended up doing radiation. And despite the fact that doctors said that she only had 2 years to live, my mother lived for 19 years beyond the year she was diagnosed with breast cancer. 19 years. That is 100% God. Like, there's no other way to explain it. Even her doctors said that she was a medical miracle, and that they did not have any medical reason as to why she would have been able to sustain being on the cancer medication for as long as she did. She, of course, went through several different cancer medications, but they didn't have any other explanation other than she was a medical miracle, and that it was truly because of God's grace. But over the course of those 19 years, she wasn't able to work all 19 of them. She wasn't able to work probably 15 of them. My mom continued to work for a very brief amount of time, like when she first started her chemotherapy and radiation and so on and so forth. And then it just became to be too taxing on her. And by God's grace, she was able to take a 2-year sabbatical from work. And that 2-year sabbatical she was paid for. She of course used up all the PTO time that she had saved up, so on and so forth. But ultimately, what allowed her to be able to sustain herself over the course of that 19-year period of time was the fact that my mother was a saver. When I say that woman was a saver, I mean she was a saver. She might have been the queen of emergency funds, the queen of contingency funds. She of course invested in her retirement fund, and she ended up, using all of that up over the course of time, but she had it to use. And so that's why I just want to heavily impress on you the importance of putting money into your retirement fund, both with your company as well as if you have an IRA or a Roth outside, or any type of retirement account outside of your employer provided one. Make sure you are putting resources into it. When you have what I call found money, so it's unexpected, it's an unexpected financial blessing, put that in there or put it into your emergency fund. You never know, or your contingency fund, whichever one you want to call it, you never know when you're going to need those resources. And I can guarantee you, my mother had no idea, none whatsoever, that she was going to be forced into retirement by the age of 50 or before the age of 50. That was not in her plan at all. And if it was in her plan, then it was, she was going to retire because she wanted to, and then she was gonna, if she chose to work, she was gonna work a job that she truly enjoyed and she wanted to do, and travel the world and spend time with her grandchild. She had one grandchild at the time, and spend time with her daughters and so on and so forth. And none of those things were able to happen. My mother also, by God's grace, had life insurance. And I remember that one of the things when I had that conversation with that doctor, they were like, if there are places that you all want to go, if you've never done a family vacation before, if you want to do family pictures, whatever the case may be, go ahead and do those things now. So we took some family pictures and we went on a vacation, and I remember that is truly one of the best vacation memories that I have. We started in the Carolinas, and then we navigated down through Georgia, and we just had a really, really, really good time. Definitely memorable moments, both for myself and my sister and my eldest niece, who was the only grandchild at the time. Like, we had a really, really good time, and we didn't do it immediately. Like, there was certainly a substantial amount of time before we actually ended up doing it, because we were believing that God was going to answer our prayers and that our mother was going to live. And like I said, by God's grace, she did. She lived for 19 more years. But like I said, invest in your retirement fund. You never know when you're going to need it. You may need it far sooner than you actually think that you're going to need it. And you may need it for much longer, a longer period of time than what you think that you're going to need it for. So don't think, I'm going to wait until I'm 65 or maybe 68, or, I'm going to work long and I'm going to work till I'm 72. God bless you if that's your plan. I do not want to be working unless it's my choice. At the age of 72, unless it's my choice, I would rather just be enjoying my life and my grandchildren and so on and so forth. But you honestly never know. Like I said, she had no intention of retiring, by the age of 50. being forced to retire by that age. And like I said, by God's grace, through the money in her retirement fund and through her contingency fund that she had saved, as well as the fact that that woman could budget and, and she, don't think that she didn't enjoy life. My mother, along with cancer, went whitewater rafting. She went to plays. She and my godmother took trips and they did vacations. And she was a foodie, so much so that my family affectionately called her Happy Meal because she would dance when she was happy. When she was eating good food, she would dance to her food. And I call my daughter Mini Happy Meal because she will hum to her good food, and she said, that's good now. And so I know that my mother would absolutely love that, and that the two of them would be humming and dancing together over their good food. But yeah, she enjoyed life. So it's not that she, was scrimping and saving and, was squandering all her little money up because, she never knew what was going to happen. She lived along the time, along the way, while she was managing everything. She still lived, despite the fact that she was still, scrimping and saving and, doing what she had to do with the resources that were coming in. She did work briefly for another period of time. After several years where she had been out of the workforce, she did do some additional work, and she was able to not only take care of herself, but an additional person as well. And like I said, if she wasn't financially wise, and if she, didn't know the importance of investing, the importance of saving, for times when you are unexpected and you don't know what you're going to need, then, she wouldn't have been able to survive financially for the period of time in which she was able to do so. And like I said, she enjoyed her life. She really, really enjoyed her life. So I just wanted to dedicate, this episode to all the breast cancer warriors that are out there. Breast cancer is something that has been in my life all of my life, the knowledge of it. If you are a woman, you need to be doing a self-breast exam on a monthly basis when you're in the shower and the water's running and you're a little soapy, with a closed hand like this, you need to go up underneath your arm and feel around in that area, and then rotate around from the base of your breast all the way to the nipple, and then go in lines that are connected from the nipple outwards, and just feel around. Know what your breasts feel like. If you are a husband or a significant other, know what your, wife or your significant other's breasts feel like. If you're a man, don't think that breast cancer is not something that could impact you, because it absolutely is. It's much less common, but men get breast cancer as well. So it's a very, very important that you do self-breast exams. If you are 40 and a woman, then you should start to have mammograms on an annual basis. Because of my mother's diagnosis and the fact that my grandmother had breast cancer as well, I started getting mammograms in my late 20s by the instruction of my medical care provider. They said that I should start then, and I did. And you should also know your body. If you're a woman who has, larger breasts, if you've been told that you have dense breasts, there's a chance that in addition to mammograms that you're also going to need to have ultrasounds. And be your own advocate, and tell if you have new medical care or a new medical team over the course of your life, tell them what your experiences have been. Hey, I know that you're going to say that I need a mammogram, but I'm going to tell you I also need an ultrasound because I have very dense breast, and it's challenging for the machine to see through the breast tissue. and advocate for yourself. You're gonna be the best advocate. You know your life, you know your health, you know your situation and your circumstance. For those of you who are familiar with the BRCA testing, it's genetic testing to find out whether or not you are a genetic carrier for breast cancer. My mother did that testing, and by God's grace, she was not a carrier of that gene. Her breast cancer was environmental, which means that something that she was exposed to over the course of her life unfortunately ended up causing her to have breast cancer, which is disheartening to know. It's disheartening to hear that you don't know what it was that you were exposed to, but something exposed you to cause you to end up with cancer. And so by her having that test, it did at least provide my sister and I with the knowledge that we don't have to worry, that there's a chance that we'll end up having breast cancer because it's genetic. And we have been praying and continue to pray that the generational curse of women in our family with breast cancer was broken with my mother when she passed away, and that it will not continue with our family. So if you like my shirt, Normalized Black Wealth, it comes in multiple colors. Please check out my Etsy store, which is linked in the description below. It's also linked in my bio. If you have liked this content, I ask that you please share it with someone. Literally share this with someone, with every woman that you know. Like I said, it's about breast cancer, it's about finances. This is the season for pink. So please definitely share it with someone that you love, share it with someone that you just know, share it on your social media so everyone that you know can see it. Subscribe if you are interested in more personal finance tips, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Have a good day, Generational Wealth Gang. Bye.